Good afternoon, and welcome to another unfiltered episode with me, Emily McIntyre, the rambling CEO of Swift Coffee Sourcing, and so much more. Does the world really need another coffee importer? That's the question I'm asking today. Look, emotions are running high in our industry these days, and not just in our industry, they are running high across the world. We are not in an easy time to be alive. Could be said that's always the case, but for sure at the moment it isn't. When it comes to the coffee industry, we've got the recent decision by the CQI to hand its Q certification program over to the SCA, and that has just sent shockwaves running through the industry. That is a future unfiltered episode, by the way, on the topic of disillusionment and business. But we have Trump's tariffs, we've got political unrest, we've got geopolitical challenges in the extreme. We've got, of course, the existential crisis of whether coffee is going to still be a thing in 20 years, and then really a recession by any other name, just revving its engines in our ears. There's a lot of worry in coffee right now, but it's more than just that. The players have changed. Look, as ever happens every 7 to 10 years, there's just a big contraction in the industry. This is a thing. This is basic economic theory, and there's a lot of carnage. Bankruptcies, closures, mergers, liquidations. But let's just stick to the green coffee players for now. You may know I was the CEO of Ethiopian vertically integrated and very special, rest in peace, coffee importer Catalyst Trade. And we dissolved in 2023 at great personal cost. We were financed by Mercon, and that was not the only reason we closed, but Mercon itself was forced into bankruptcy shortly thereafter. There was a lot of chaos, and it deeply impacted the coffee chain, particularly in Nicaragua, where Mercon was based. For personal impacts, this continues for many people. Honestly, David Griswold sat down with me and gave me some incredible advice I was deeply grateful for during the crisis of Catalyst Trade. And he could speak from a powerful position because Sustainable Harvest had just merged into Sucafina. The hits kept coming. We've got Mighty Peace Coffee. We've got Nordic Approach, just part of Neumann. We've got recently La Palma EL Tucán, which for me and my co-founders at Catalyst Trade, and we all kind of were building at the same time, was just this beacon of doing it right. I'm impressed by their regenerative pause, and I also have a sense of how difficult things are behind the scenes that would require that. I know. It's like 2023 is just this massive bloodbath, and we're all still bleeding. But we're business people. Within chaos is opportunity. That's always how it has been. When Michael and I started Catalyst back in 2013, we had no concept we were in a golden age for coffee. It felt really hard to start Catalyst, then Coffee Consulting, and it was. But we were actually in something really special. We were in this microclimate, this golden age of specialty coffee in Portland, Oregon, where one day to another, a conversation with a roaster or with a fellow importer or with a producer or even with a customer could shift the entire trajectory of a company or a movement. So you have all of these businesses that emerged in that time frame with this generative effect. It was almost like a business incubator in Portland. Chris Allspach and I were recently talking about this. He is the founder of Oval Coffee Roasters in New York, and he was the head roaster at Upper Left Coffee, a customer of ours, in that time frame. And we met in 2015, just sitting down in a Stumptown cafe and saying, "Hey, who are you? Should we get to know each other?" And it was a really special meeting. It still stands out to me. I want to say 2015 over coffee, right? And then a year or two later, he started the roasting program at Upper Left and became a customer. And in 2017, I think, we were in Ethiopia sourcing coffee together. And we built our businesses synchronously, but we would have these moments, these touch points. And so Chris and I were recently talking about this synergy, how customers, their interest would drive such interesting things, right? So I'm getting off on a side tangent here, but that was a really special time. And to quote current tech bros, who are quoting an actual business term, it was a time of arbitrage. It was a time where at the right moment, the right time, the right action could produce an outsized result. Again, no concept that I was in a moment of arbitrage at that time, but I think we're entering one of those moments again. I'm not addressing the chaos and the pain and the suffering that is caused by all of this closure. I myself have been through the entrepreneur's worst nightmares, and I'm still standing, amazingly. I'm grateful to be around and still kicking and getting to start things over and, try new things with new partners. It's a gift. So not addressing the pain, but this is a moment of opportunity. So for example, I was chatting with my friend Nick Visconti, who is the CEO and founder of Drink Coffee Do Stuff in the Truckee, California, Nevada area. He's a super smart guy. And he is being very intelligent about how he's utilizing purchasing, expansion right now as tools as these challenges happen. He's disciplined too. Nick's not just smart, he's been careful to not over leverage his brand. And so he's in a position where he can actually take advantage to do this. Another coffee friend, David Paparelli of M Cultivo, when I told him what I was starting with Swift, said it perfectly. There's a building that's burning and everybody's running out and taking what small belongings they can. I'm running into the burning building because there's opportunity there. Tons of low-hanging fruit. When folks close down, there's just this swath of opportunity. And it doesn't mean that we're vultures. It means that we are being able to do business as business is intended. So I'm running into the burning building. But, after Catalyst, I needed time to reset. I personally had guaranteed millions of dollars in debt, and it just wiped me out in so many ways. So I took a beat. I took a beat outside of coffee. I went to business school. I was a professional public speaker for a while. I did a bunch of consulting. But here in 2025, I'm back. And I'm just seeing opportunity everywhere. And I feel grateful that I'm still around and able to take advantage of opportunities in the same cycle that took me out 2 years ago, which is a gift. I guess I'm glad that Catalyst was one of the early harbingers of all of this chaos. Coffee is a business. Look, we have a squeamishness about that in coffee, especially among specialty coffee roasters, I've noticed. We have wrapped up this work in emotions and missions and poetry. Many of us, a lot of us didn't come from business. We came from seminary or English. I was an English major like so many others. We were philosophy majors. We were, full-time musicians like I was. I got into the business side of coffee like a rabbit, just escaping a trap, trying to survive. I needed to find a way forward, and I got great at the business side in order to do that. So we tend to be a little bit squeamish in this industry about seizing opportunity, about calling it what it is. But look, let's be clear, coffee is not a religious mission. It is a business. I want to make money, and I want to build a legacy for my 13-year-old child who has traveled all over the world to coffee farms and coffee sites with me and with Michael as we've built this thing. I'm really not here to play act business. This is succeed or fail. There is no middle ground. And there isn't a ton of sentiment to it at the end of the day, even though we are deeply sentimentally engaged in our businesses. And I am absolutely part of that. But look, running a coffee business requires clear eyes and relentless hunger. And I would suggest that maybe, just maybe, right now, even if you're admired in a past business that is not feeding you, and just put that lightly, now may be the perfect time to do something new, something smart, something lean. Pick up the low-hanging fruit. This is a time of arbitrage and opportunity. So yes, I believe the world does need another coffee importer because buyers need options. You need trusted sourcing, people that you can trust to do a good job, no drama, smart prices, as efficient as possible, just getting the job done is a high bar, okay? Let's be honest. But producers also need options. I think optionality is necessary. That is the market's great equalizer. Optionality, the ability to have choice in who you sell your product to and to negotiate your pricing, requires multiple buyers. And so both ends of the supply chain need this key middle player, the importer, the often maligned but absolutely essential importer, to exist. We need more importers, fast, stat. Replace the gap, and I'm going to do that. Look, also from a personal level, did Emily need another coffee importer? I did actually need this. Swift coffee sourcing isn't just another project. It turns out I needed to be re-engaged in the coffee industry and get the chance to work with the coffee producers and the coffee roasters I invested going on 15 years of my life into. That matters. So look, yes, I believe the coffee world needs another importer, and I'm inviting you to build this thing, this new coffee importer, Swift, with me. And talk to me about the opportunities for arbitrage that you're seeing in your own area. If you're a roaster, that opportunity is definitely, obviously, buying up, extend sympathy, but maybe take over those cafes that are closing. You might be able to get them at an advantageous rate. Although you won't be the only person, you'll have to bid. You can buy roasting equipment or other types of equipment from liquidation sales at a third of the price sometimes, if you're willing to go through the auction process. There are lots of ways you can do this. So look, back to Swift. Reach out to me and tell me what you want to see from this new importer on the block. And hello, thank you so much for sticking out this long, unfiltered, rambling essay. And you'll hear from me next week on Friday with a new take on the coffee industry, life, and business.